Hey, what's up? I'm T-Briz, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on FL Studio NewTime. I'm going to be taking a sample of a track that is not in perfect tempo, recorded using live instruments, and as you know, a track like that, even though they'll say the track is 94 BPM, maybe it's 94 one bar, 93 the next bar, 96 the next bar, it can fluctuate, and I need it to be, let's say, 94 the entire song. So I want to time warp it in FL Studio, and I got a couple tips and tricks in my workflow that I use to get that done. What we're going to be doing is first we're going to find the average tempo of the song. We're going to pull the sample into NewTime, and we're going to time warp it bar by bar to fit that average tempo. We're going to drop the time warp sample, time adjusted sample into the playlist after the fact. So then I can speed up the entire tempo of the song, and everything will be in place where I need it to be. The reason I'm doing this is because I like to work with these samples, and I like to be able to loop them, and it's very convenient for me if they all fit a certain tempo ahead of time. So this is the first step in my workflow before I pull this stuff into like SliceX, say, and start sampling and playing stuff on my keyboard. I hope this will help you guys out. Let's go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab my audio file. Here it is. We're going to put it into the playlist. There you go. Now we're going to play the song. We're going to right click and tap, and then we're going to tap our mouse to the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, we're getting about 93, 94, 95, a little bit of variations. Let's go ahead and just use, I think I saw 94. Oops, let me, I think I saw 94. That was sticking out to me. So I'll set this as 94 in here. I actually don't need this track in the playlist anymore. I just wanted to put it in there first to get the tempo. Let's get rid of that. Here's part of the trick. We're going to take this empty pattern that we have here, and we're going to put it out into the playlist. We'll stretch it out a little bit and then click it, and then hit Control B just to let it, I'll hold down Control B and let it really ride out. All right, you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. This is important for this workflow that I came up with. Now you see, I'm gonna minimize the playlist for a second because we need to go into NewTime and get our sample loaded up in there so we can start time warping it. So I set my first mixer track, I named it NewTime. We're gonna want to slot one. We're gonna grab NewTime. We're going to now open that same sample in NewTime. We're going to go to this little floppy disk. I'm going to hit load sample. I'm going to find my sample. You find yours. All right, I got my sample loaded. You can see NewTime does this thing where it puts a time markers, or whatever they call these little yellow markers, on the transients in the song. If you don't know what a transient is, it's the louder part, usually when a kick or a snare is hitting or a loud instrument plays, and it creates this peak that looks sort of like maybe like a big mountain peak or whatever, but it's called a transient. I don't want those transients. I want to start fresh, so I'm going to click into the waveform list. I'm going to hit Control A, and then I'm going to hit delete. I want to get rid of all those markers that they gave me because I'm going to keep it simple with mine from the start. This is part of my workflow. I just want to align the bars right now. Later, if I want to tweak what's in between those bars, I can, but I just want to use the bars. So let's go ahead, and we got the sample loaded here. Up here on the right hand corner of the plugin, you see there are two little buttons. One of them says scroll to follow cursor. I'm going to turn that off because that gets really annoying for me. Leave it on if you want. You'll see why. You'll see what happens. And then you'll probably turn it off too. And then this little chain link, we're going to slave playback to host. That's what this does. Basically, it means when I click that, anytime I hit play up here, or if I hit spacebar, now I'm slaved to the song. And now this is the reason why I put this empty pattern up here, because you see where this time marker is going? The time marker wouldn't make it this far unless there was something here, this empty pattern here. If I deleted all this and we played from here, it would stop. I'm not going to do it for the video because it's just going to take time, but you'd see it would stop. So part of the thing is we put this empty pattern here in order for it to just keep playing in NewTime. It's a little trick that I learned. All right, so the other thing we want to do is find the first beat of the first bar. So It's got this little intro. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that? So it's like 1, 2. Here's my 1. It's right there. The thing about this 1 is I really want this to start on the bar number. I don't want this out in the middle in between bar 1 and bar 2, right? So I'm going to do a quick little trick. I'm just going to double click out in the silence before the track starts. So I'm going to hold control. I'm going to grab both of these time markers. I'm going to hold this one. And instead of time warping, it's just going to move everything over for me. You could probably do this in Edison or somewhere else as well, but I figure I'm in NewTime, so I might as well just do it here right now. And there you go. Now my 1 is on beat number 2. Let's see. I'll pull it back to the beginning and I'll hit space. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's good. So we've got the song in place that we want to sample, but now we want to start time stretching. All right, so let's find the next bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, it's this big transient. When you see something really peaking and tall, that's usually a good indicator that that's your spot. Plus, you can hear it. So let's pull this in to 3. And now here's the next trick I'm going to show you. I'm going to grab my playlist because I don't know if you noticed, but every time you hit space, it takes you back to the beginning of the song. Even if I put the little time marker on 3 and I hit space, it takes me back to the beginning of the song. This is what I couldn't find a trick for online. So this is another spot where this empty playlist comes in handy. I'm gonna make this a certain size, and I'm gonna put this playlist down in the bottom. I'm gonna try to dock it. You see how it kind of snaps to the window there? And I'm working on a single screen now for this video. Normally I work in dual screens, so I have this on my right screen and the waveform on the left screen. You could do it that way, you could do whatever, but this is really helpful if you only have one screen. Because now, let's scroll in by holding control and using my mouse wheel here and scroll in down here on the playlist. And see, I'm going to put the time marker on 3, and now up in NewTime, because it's slaved, it starts on 3. You see that? This is huge for me. When you're working with a full song, you need to be able to start from the bar that you edited up to. If you keep starting the song over and over and over again, it's impossible. And that was one of the issues I was having with trying to time stretch each bar in this entire song. So I hope these tips are helpful. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of more of these, and then I'm going to skip ahead. All right, it looks like I've reached some sort of a minimum on this window here. Okay, so I'm going to grab NewTime and adjust that to fit just the right size above it, so I have my scroll bar here at the bottom as well. Okay, so, and I'm going to zoom out a bit. I don't have to be too perfect right now, because you know I'm about to time stretch 100 bars out of a song that I might only sample 10 bars from. So when I find those 10 bars that I want to sample, I'll go in and I'll adjust a little bit more. But for now, I just want a general tempo setting. All right, let's start on 3. You can hear that kick. Bam, bam, bam. That means I got the right spot. 2, 3, 4, 1. Here's the next one. It's a little bit off. We'll pull it in. Let's start on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. All right. 5 looks good. I mean, it's the thing. If you zoom in a little bit more, I guess I could use a tiny adjustment. Let's see it. 5. All right. That sounds good. Let's move over to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I think it's this big one right here. This big. Let's see. Well, let's put it on 6. Hear that kick? Doop, doop, doop. That's usually a good sign that I got the right spot. All right, let's go ahead. We'll start from 6 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. This one's just a tad bit off. And you see, right now they're pretty close, but I'm sure as I go through the song, I'm going to find that it's a little bit more off. Unless the song is just really tight and really long. That's okay. I still need it to be perfect. It's not perfect, and I need it, or I'd prefer it to be perfect for what I'm working on. So that's why we're doing this. Let's start at 7. Click on 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right. That one's definitely off. Pull it back. Let's start at 8. I like to give it a couple spacebar taps to make sure I'm hearing the kick. Yeah, that sounds good. Make sure it's close enough, like real close. All right, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Boom. There it is, my mountaintop. All right, let's do a couple more of these. We'll start at 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. That one's a little bit early. I don't like that click. Let's fix it. Get it a little closer to the transient. The peak. Let's put it on 10. Good. All right. I'm going to save this. I'm going to hit Control S. Okay, so that's this part of the workflow. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the song just like this, just for me, because I'm actually using this sample in a song I want to make anyway. I'll just fast forward through all this stuff. We'll see the next part of the workflow coming up next. Thanks. All right, good. So I got the whole song mapped out. You can see it's nice even increments on every bar, and it's pretty much fit to tempo at this point. There's a couple spots where they need to fit it in. You can see those gaps right here. Let's save this. Let's do a save sample as, and I like to change it to new time and 94 BPM just to stay organized. And now we're going to drop this into the playlist. And here's this button right here. It's going to put this time stretched, time warped, time adjusted, whatever. It's going to drop this waveform into the playlist. I clicked it. And as you can see, it is now in the playlist. I can get rid of these empty patterns. I don't need these anymore. If I need to do adjustments now, there's another workflow for me to do that. But so this is fit to tempo, and I might have forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video, but I had the metronome going. I'm sure you noticed the metronome is a big part of it because you can hear the clicks. The 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't know where that is, we had the metronome on. It's up here in the top left-hand corner of these button group here. Now that we have this, they renamed it to _2. Let's just rename it ourselves. Rename this to _NewTime or something. Okay. Let's go to the channel rack. I want to be able, when I change this tempo up here, I want to be able for the song to now be that tempo. So we're going to click the channel. We're going to change mode into stretch. Okay. Let's pull that playlist back up. All right. So I dropped the sample in to the playlist, and we can see it here. But watch this. When I play this, let me put the tempo back to where it should be. You can kind of hear it doubled. And if I speed one of them up, you can really hear it's messed up. You know why? It's because NewTime is still playing. It's still slaved to the master. So let me unslave it. Actually, I'll even just leave it slaved. Let's just mute NewTime. It's still playing back the sample from inside of NewTime. So we need to mute that. Mute NewTime. We went into here. We changed the mode into stretch. This is the sample that was dropped into the playlist. Add a NewTime. So now, let's play this. It started at 94, but now I can change the tempo. I can move it up. And if you hear that metronome, everything's in time from beginning to end. This will be locked into the tempo that we adjusted it to. You want to slow it down? NewTime's pretty good with being able to adjust without losing the pitch either. Oh, this is nice. So there you go. The next step I would do is probably start either chopping this up in the playlist and picking out sections that I want to loop. You know, using the cutter here and finding a loop that I wanted to play and grab this out and start looping it or whatever I want to do with it. But now that it's in time, it's so much easier to work with in this grid format. And on top of that, if I want to bring it into SliceX, I can do my chops based on time, and it will help me get a good baseline, a good starting point to start playing with samples within SliceX. Maybe I'll make a video on that next. It depends on if this video gets downvoted into oblivion or not. But if people find it helpful, maybe I'll make another one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Peace.